The NHL and NHLPA have been working on a new CBA agreement from 26 until the 2020-30 season. They finally officially agreed upon. It comes effective starting September of 2026. What we know, 84-game regular season starting in 26-27 season. Preseason will be shortened to 4 games. Players over 100 career games played can only play in a max of 2 games. Maximum player contract shortened to 7 years, 6 for free agency. A new playoff salary cap, closing the LTIR loophole. From my understanding, it will be only the salary cap will only be for the lineup, not scratches. Scratches. I could be wrong, but that's just what I heard. Draft pick signing rights to universally expire at age 22, regardless of league. Deferred salary banned. Significant increase to salary cut playoff bonus pool fund, nearly doubled. Establishment of full-time e-bug position within teams. No more team mandatory game day dress codes for players. Net guards will be mandatory entering the 26-27 season and beyond. Players with 1 game played before that season, though, will be grandfathered and won't be mandatory. And last but not least, the minimum salary cap will steadily increase from $775K to $1 million in the 29-30 season. We did talk about the NHL playoff lineup salary cap that has been confirmed, and I did want to confirm it for us. It does not include scratches, just 18 skaters and then the 2 dress goalies. Player salaries cannot be retained more than once in a 75-day period. AHL eligibility to 1 19-year-old CHLer. Restrictions on front-loaded contracts subsequent years cannot be less than 71% of the previous year's salary plus bonus. And lastly, you can now recall up to 4 players at once after the trade deadline. That's a lot.
I think this is a great deal for the league and the players.
It is.
I'm glad they just got this done. I don't really have anything I complain about. I wasn't expecting them to address the LTIR stuff, but they did address it.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the no deferred salary. I don't like that in other leagues. I think it makes it a little bit more messy in the NHL. I would say is the only pro sports league that really has a hard cap.
It does.
And they enforce it pretty strictly. And yeah, I don't like the deferred contract stuff. I think in the NFL it's really messy.
And in the MLB too.
Yeah. It's just you sign a guy, he gets this much a year, that's it. I think that's fair. And I think every team should have to do that because not every team is going to be willing to do that because in the NFL and the MLB, if you have a wealthier owner, they might be okay with doing a deferred contract and then the cheaper owners don't like doing that and kind of the players are more likely to say, well, I'm going to get more money up front, but in the later years I'll get less, but then they will release me and then I can go get more money and it gets messy really quick. I like the shortened preseason. I mean, the preseason more so for the younger players just to get a taste. The vets don't really need it. Maybe that's 1 or 2 games is fine for them just to get a game under their belt before the regular season starts. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints. The 7-year deal shortened makes more sense because this seems to be the move now for the players to take shorter term, higher money deals. Yeah, I think this is a win-win for the players and the league. Yeah. I'm glad that we don't have to worry about a lockout for at least 4 more years.
Yeah, I have, again, no complaints about it. I like the regular season starting.
Also, a part of it, they agreed the NHL players can play in the 2030 Olympics.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. So, again, it feels like at this point, and the World Cup of Hockey, I think, is coming back in 2028, too.
Yeah. So I think this is, win-win for the players, the league, and the fans.
Yes, it is. I like the 84-game regular season, like the shortened preseason. And overall, I'm so glad about the salary cap loophole stuff. I think that's my number one.
Yeah.
Just get rid of that.
I mean, some of these are like no-brainers, like the e-bug position thing. Like, that's a no-brainer. Every team should be able to have an emergency goalie on their team.
And I think the net guard stuff, player safety comes first. I like that too. And of course, you can be grandfathered in because
a lot of those guys I think are still going to wear them. You see, I know that the whole thing with the neck, the guy that got his neck slit happened a few years ago, but a lot of guys are still wearing neck guards. Yeah, it doesn't really affect how you play at all. There's no reason to not wear one.
It doesn't.
We're learning a lot more now about more details. Since they initially got agreed upon, and I really my favorite thing I think I like in there. I like the playoff salary cap. I think that's a really good thing to stop teams from kind of circumnavigating the cap. It's going to be changing things a lot, I think, in the league. Because I think for a long time with playoff teams, you saw, especially if they had an injury, like Vegas was, pretty well known for this. Tampa, almost every Stanley Cup champion the last few years has done this, though, where they have an injured player that probably won't be back till the playoffs, LTIR, and then you go out and make a big trade like the Panthers did this year with Seth Jones, when Matthew Tkachuk was on LTIR until the playoffs started. So perfectly within the rules at the time, but then the playoffs start and they're way over the salary cap. But yeah, I really think this is a good move.
This is my
Yeah.
favorite move.
Yeah.
And the 84 game regular season are my two favorite. And going to the LTIR stuff, I'm wondering, obviously, it's just going to be a series by playoff thing, but I'm interested to see if eventually it'll turn into you have to have like a quote unquote locked NHL roster for the series. And then let's say you go into the first round, right? You have multiple injuries, and it's not like, okay, you can recall a player to come play for you on the roster and have
Yeah.
those exceptions. But overall, I like the start of closing the LTIR loophole and going from there because it stops teams, like you said, from having one of their better players and one of their highest paid players on the team getting injured. And even if he is injured right up to round one, you can't go out and get a $6 million defenseman from a team that's actively tanking or one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
And now you're 4.5 over the salary cap come game one of the playoffs.
I mean, almost every team that's won the Stanley Cup the last years it didn't. Vegas was pretty infamous for it. Tampa, very, very infamous for doing it. Nikita Kucherov missed the whole season. All of a sudden, he's back for game one of the playoffs. The Oilers did it this year with Evander Kane. It's like almost you kind of have to do it nowadays if you want to have a team deep enough to go far in the playoffs. So I don't really blame the teams for taking advantage of a loophole. Yeah, probably. But this wasn't something I thought was going to be addressed in the CBA. I thought it was going to be really hard to figure it out, and I even think Gary Bettman might have said they weren't really looking into addressing it, and the league wasn't overly concerned. Maybe the players were. I'm not sure if that was more concerned from the players' union side of it, but they worked it out. Another thing I really want to highlight in the CBA that I really like is having one 19-year-old CHLer eligible to play in the AHL. This is just a no-brainer, I think, in my opinion. Because there are a few guys every few years that might not or aren't good enough to play in the NHL yet, clearly, but they're too good to play in juniors. Like they don't need to be playing there. They have nothing to prove there. And I think having an extra year in the AHL as a 19-year-old would be super beneficial for them. A guy like Shane Wright ended up getting an exception, but you shouldn't have to apply for an exception from the CHL, especially if it's a top player. They're going to want him playing in that league because it sells tickets, gets people in their seats, and they want the best players playing. So I think this is a great move to help player development also, as well.
It's a great move. You see a lot of times where a player gets drafted when they're 18. They go back to juniors for another year. And if they don't crack the roster or do like the 9-game trial, whatever it is, then you have to send them back to juniors instead of letting them play professional hockey because a lot of these guys that are even getting the 9-game trials or are in training camp and then the preseason, they're too good for juniors. That's the reason why they're on the training camp roster. So to be able to get them pro experience and have the ability to be like, you know what, if we need him come March and we're not fighting for a playoff spot, let's say the Blackhawks, for example, they have a guy who's 19, not saying they do now, but just in general. And they want to see, 10 games out of him to end the season. He doesn't get the 9-game trial in the beginning of the season, whatever. Hey, let's see what he has for us. And then going into next season, now we know what he can do for us. And I really think that the NHLPA feels like that they fought for this as well. And it feels like the NHL and NHLPA, they don't want to lock out, which is phenomenal. B, I like that they got it done over a year early, which is great news. And C, it feels like a lot of the stuff they really agreed upon. I don't know how fast it was, but overall I like it.
It didn't seem like, from what we heard, there were any real holdups in negotiations. Everything seemed to have gone pretty smoothly. And like I said before, I really don't see any issues with the CBA. We get 4 more years of guaranteed NHL hockey until 2030. Also, another thing, I don't know if we mentioned this in the video before when we talked about it, but it's official now. NHL players can play in the 2030 Olympics as well. That was also part of the CBA agreement. So we got 2 more Olympics with NHL players at least. But
bangers. I saw somebody say a hot take on Instagram. It was just a dumb Instagram post that they think that the NHL in the Olympics is going to disappoint us.
Why would that be?
Don't know.
Did they not watch the World Cup of Hockey?
The World Cup of Hockey might have been the best thing that happened this season.
And the Four Nations face. I meant the Four Nations face-off. That was amazing, though.
That was great.
You see what players want this. They want best on best competition. That's rage bait in my opinion. Anyone who watches any professional sports, so you want best on best, and players. The Olympics are different, man. They bring out things in different people. You got Connor McDavid playing on the same line with Sidney Crosby. Like, what?
And Nathan McKinnon.
But you telling me that's not going to be like absolute cinema? What are we talking about here?
Dude, 10 seconds or 15 seconds into one of the games.
That beautiful
What was
play.
it? I think it was their first game,
Yeah,
too.
it was the first play. They got a power play. Yeah, I was like, the Olympics is just going to intensify that. The USA-Canada game was insane.
Yeah.
You don't think it's going to be even crazier with an actual Olympic gold medal on the line?
And it's going to be a lot of the same players, too. And now it's
Yeah.
not just for stuff that the NHL is giving you. You literally not only get to represent your country, but also get to play for a gold medal that is 0.0000001% of people, probably even lower, have a chance to even compete for.
People who are saying, "Oh, you're going to be disappointed," I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching the entire video. If you guys would like more exclusive content, make sure to follow us over on Instagram, X, and TikTok. Also, check out our new episodes, which drop every single Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Available to stream on all platforms.